Welcome into Tuesday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Tuesday Tips for Parents. So thank you for joining in with us. For those of you who may be here, for those of you who have to watch it later, again, thanks for just watching the video. And please feel free to comment on anything you hear, any ideas you have that you would like to share with all of the other parents out there who may be able to benefit from what you have to say as well in your experience as a parent. So today we will simply be talking about just general overall excuse me, ideas of things that you already know, you've probably read in magazines. Again, sometimes it's just helpful if we can hear things again, maybe hear them from a different perspective, maybe with different wording. Sometimes it just clicks, or sometimes you just simply say, you know what, I knew that and I did that for a while and it seemed to work, but I forgot about it. So this could just be a reminder of some things that you already know do work with your child. And again, as we go through everything, just keep in mind that not everything works for every child. You have to go through and determine what you think. So kids, regardless of what age they are, they need to know that as parents that we love them. They need to have their confidence boosted, their self-esteem boosted. They need to know that we care enough to ask, even though sometimes we get the mom or the rolling the eyes or the no, I'm not giving you a kiss, all my friends are here, don't hug me. They still like that. So how do we go about just thinking of different things in different ways to engage with our child? Well, first of all, their self-esteem. Let's boost up their self-esteem. From the time kids are just teeny tiny babies, they take their sense of self-worth and their sense of self-esteem a lot of time from their parents. As babies, they react to our tone of voice, they react to body language, they react to facial expressions, they react to all of these different things. And as they grow older, they react to, we allow them to do some things independently that are age appropriate, makes them feel good about themselves, especially when we tell them how good they did. Even if maybe their clothes don't particularly match perfectly. My child, who is now 14, will look back at some pictures and say, Mom, I can't believe you let me go out dressed that way. Why? That didn't match. I had stripes with circles or whatever. But at that time that she was picking out those clothes, she was so very, very proud of herself. Now she wishes I had, but back then she was proud of it. So just little tiny things like that we can do sometimes void out all of those mistakes that we do make as parents. So as they are doing some things independently, find a reason to praise it. Find a reason to tell them how good they did. And remember how damaging some words can be, even though they may be good intentioned at the time from the parents. We compare kids to whatever it may be that we're comparing them to. Sometimes that can be very damaging. For example, I don't know why you can't act like your brother. Your brother doesn't act like as much of a baby. Why are you crying? That's, being a crybaby, or whatever words that we're saying at the time. As parents, we have the best of intentions. And at all times, all those words may not be damaging, but there are times that they can be just as damaging as physical blows to a child. Keep in check what you're saying and why you're saying it, and if you feel like, is it the most appropriate use of words at this time? Sometimes it will be, sometimes it won't. As you're doing those things and you're trying to boost the children's self-esteem, you're letting them do some things independently, you're giving them the options of choosing some different toys off the refrigerator to earn some stars or earn whatever it is they're trying to earn. Try to catch them at being good at certain things too. So if they come in, be the easiest one and the one that's going to earn them the least points, give them praise for doing so. It's ultimately at the end of the week, if they have to earn so many stars or points or whatever it is that you have, or have so many good colors from school or whatever, ultimately they know that at the end of the day, and they know how many they have to have at the end of the week. So if they're choosing all the easiest ones first, you're still giving them praise. You may say, hey, really great job. You walked in, you started this chore without me even asking. You have earned 1 star. You only have 4 more to go for this week. So you have reminded them how many more they go while you're giving them, or that they have to go while you're giving them praise. They tie their shoe by themselves. They brush their teeth by themselves. They sit down to do their homework. They pick up trash out of the floor that they drop. Anything that they do that's good, just give them little bits and pieces of praise over it. The more that we try to find our kids doing something negative about them, and sometimes we just have to remind ourselves to do that because we have had such rotten days or everything has been so stressful at us, sometimes we just simply forget. And if you make time, specific time for your kids, it's also easier to pick out things that they're doing really well. Now, it would be great if life offered that we could pick an hour and a half every day to do nothing but just focus and spend with our children. Most people's lives don't offer that. So we have to carve out little bits and pieces of time that we're only going to focus on our child. It could be, if you have the opportunity to pick your child up from school, it could simply be the first 10, 15 minutes that they're in the car that you're going to the next destination, that you put down your phone, you turn off the radio, and you come up with questions to ask them about their day that require an answer besides yes or no. To get them to talk about their day, to get them to talk about how it went. Maybe when you're eating dinner, even if it's sitting inside of McDonald's, even if it's at a restaurant, regardless of where it is, home, out, restaurant, take that time to focus on your child and just simply talk about the day. If they don't want to talk and you can't get any answers out of them, start talking about your day. Tell them how it was. That may entice them to open up to you just a little bit and start telling you about their day. A lot of times we forget. It's so easy to forget as a parent to be the role model that you want your kids to do. You're going back to the old, what is it? Do as I say, not as I do. And I have even found myself saying that from time to time, and I'll sort of laugh, and then you think in the back of your head, but they're going to do what you do, or they're going to say what you say. So don't be too harsh on yourself, but just try to keep in your mind at all times that we are role models for our children and for all children that are out there, not just our own, but any kids that see us in any sort of authoritative capacity. Maybe it is another child, martial arts school or dance studio or whatever it may be. Those kids are also watching you. So we have that responsibility to be the best person that we can possibly be every single day. Something as well that I think parents a lot of times forget, I know it's very difficult for me, is be flexible with your parenting style. If you're trying something and it's not working, and it hasn't been working for the past month, it's probably not going to work tomorrow either. It's just not something that your parents that you know. Try anything you can to figure out what is going to work for your child. And if you have multiple children, typically what works for one is not going to work for the other. They just want to keep us on our toes, and they want to make sure that we never have a boring moment as a parent. So just because it works for one, again, doesn't mean it's going to work for the other. And that requires even more flexibility sometimes in trying out all different sorts of styles, because you have found something that works for this. Be flexible. You have to back up. You have to read. You have to learn. You have to talk to other parents and figure out what is going to work for the other child. And I would say last but certainly not least is understand that we're all humans. We're parents, but we're not perfect. There's not a perfect parent anywhere. So being okay with that and knowing your own limitations can sometimes help your own frustration, which helps with the frustration. If you already know, I love my child unconditionally, and I always make sure they know that no matter, even if they have done something wrong, they made a poor choice, that I still love them, love them, love them, love them. But you're not very consistent with consequences that your child has to have for something that they did use a poor choice about. Then work on that consistency. Know that you don't really need to work on the unconditional love part of being a parent. You don't need to work on that, on the consistency of the discipline or the consistency of poor choice making. That's very important to kids. If you allow them to not suffer the consequences in one situation, then you have to do that in another, and then in another, and then in another. Or they're playing Russian roulette, and I promise you, every time they are going to see if they can get by with it. Because if they get by with it once, and then maybe a second time, but not the third time, they think their chances are good. It causes a lot of frustration for you. Whereas parents, if we just simply say, I'm going to do a self-assessment, and I'm going to decide where I think I have a lot of strengths, and on the flip side, where are my weaknesses, so that I can work on those and become an even better parent. Again, as our goal, to create the best versions of children that we can create on a daily basis. So again, I hope this has been helpful, and that some of the little just reminders for you all have been helpful today. If you have any reminders, if you have any ideas and things that you try and do that work, please feel free to comment below. If you have anything you would like to see us do a segment on, feel free to give us a call or text at 336-270-6825, or you can comment below. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.